Welcome to Alive with Amanda. We're going to be talking today about carving out a niche with athletes. So we're going to talk about 3 types of athletes that you may find in your practice if this is a niche that you're looking to work with. One is high school students. These are people who play sports, who are maybe looking to play in college. They're looking to play professionally, and they need help with whatever stressors that come along with the pressures that they feel. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Then there's also very common for collegiate athletes to come into therapy, really to work around things like performance anxiety, the pressures of being a student athlete, and the pressures of being in college and how to manage time. Then there is working with professional athletes and the unique challenges that they face. And so if you're thinking about creating out this niche, you want to think about which population do you want to work with. You can work with all 3, but again, the more clear you get with your niche, I think you'll be able to speak to your ideal client. You'll be able to market to your ideal client, and you'll be able to reach your audience and really work with the kinds of clients that you want to work with. If you're thinking about working with high school students, you're going to want to be thinking about things and how to prepare them to be a college athlete, what they need to do in order to manage performance anxiety from the very onset, how to break through any barriers that they have related to their own belief systems. And maybe there might even be some reality checking that needs to go on with high schoolers who may or may not be on the path to collegiate athleticism or even to professionalism, becoming a professional athlete one day. And so working through the feelings about that, creating an identity. So there's a lot of different things that you can work on with your clients if you are thinking about working with high schoolers. So you might want to reach out to boosters. You might want to reach out to coaches, to, the specific schools, and try to get referrals that way. That's how I would think you would build that. And a lot of word of mouth. A lot of the times, people are going to utilize therapists in this field, especially with high school students, word of mouth. If you're working with really elite athletes, they might not even be in school. So going to the schools aren't going to be the way to go. They're going to be homeschooled. They're going to be in camps during the year. They're going to have a different experience. So getting in with some of those institutions, maybe making a list of them, figuring out really popular in Florida is tennis camps. And so if I were to work with high school students that wanted to be at the professional level at a very young age, I would find all the tennis camps in this area and reach out to them and work. That would be maybe one idea on how to do it. If you're working with college students, one, you want to make sure that you're in a town that has a college. That would make sense, right? And that there are professional, or not professional, but there are, sports that go along with, the university, and that they are really going to maybe be able to send referrals to you, or that you have some kind of knowledge of that university. A lot of the times that's really important, understanding the culture of the university, understanding the culture of the athletics department, understanding what maybe the goals are of the, athletes that go to that school. Like if I were, again, I'm just thinking like off the top of my head, if I were to work with athletes in this particular area, there are no Division I schools. Not that people can't go on to play professional sports from, Division II schools or Division III schools, but I know that may look different than if I were in a town with a Division I school, right? Like NCAA Division I, like an SEC school, like University of Florida, the Gators. And if I were going to work with their athletes, I know a lot of them might be Olympic bound. They may want to play, professional football, professional baseball, basketball. That's a feeder to that. So if you know the university near you, you're going to have an understanding of how to market your services, right? What the coaches that you need to connect with, what the boosters are, again, that you need to connect with, and how to reach those athletes and how to market and, how to show some pride in that. I'm just, in Florida, we have such big rivalries. You don't want to be like a Seminoles fan somehow, living near the Florida Gators, which is a huge rival, and have like all this Seminole stuff in your office. And then you're working with, Gator athletes. Not that you can't do that, but there are some considerations in doing that. There are unique things to consider when working with college athletes. So I'm going to talk about working with professional athletes, but first I want to thank our sponsor, TherapyNotes. I really love TherapyNotes for their customer service. It really stands out. You can pick up the phone, you can call them, you can get the help that you need. They also have a free telehealth option. So if you're doing a virtual only practice, you can utilize them, send paperwork, run credit cards, bill insurance, all through their electronic health records. So if you're looking for one that's really full service and that can give you the customer service that you need, I want you to check out TherapyNotes. So moving on to professional athletes, again, a completely different way to look at working with clients. They may be coming in for things related to performance anxiety, stressors with being a professional athlete. They may be looking at coming for marriage counseling. They may be looking at coming to bring maybe their children who are experiencing just stressors related to have maybe a parent who travels, right? So you want to think about who your ideal client is if you're working with professional athletes and what avenue you want to go down with that. Maybe your brand will be like basketball wives, right? And you live in a town where there are basketball wives and you want to market and write blog posts about their experience. I think working with professional athletes is really very specific. So if you don't already have some training or had some supervision in that, it's probably going to be helpful in that, because I think there has to be a lot of empathy and a lot of like unconditional positive regard in working with athletes, because at one hand you're like, hey, you're a professional athlete, you're on the top of the world, you make all this money, how could you be, X, Y, and Z, but they're a human with a human experience just like we are, and having a lot of empathy and positive regard and understanding and acceptance without putting them on a pedestal in the therapeutic space, I think is really important. So if you haven't already had supervision around working with any kind of athlete, would really recommend doing that. And then if you're really wanting to get into this niche, think about how your marketing can speak directly to your ideal client. Hope this was helpful and interesting and different in how to create specific niches. I'll see you soon, everybody. Bye.